Welcome to the channel of NZ Justice 111. This is episode 5 in the series, The Names of Who Corrupt New Zealand and What They Don't Want You to Know. In the last episode, this channel informed you that this episode would show you the end of Lisa's and Senior Sergeant's relationship and how much he defrauded Lisa's trust out of. We also advised you that this episode would show you the private meeting that occurred between Senior Sergeant and Lisa's trust bank, which is the Bank of New Zealand, who inexcusably disclosed private information to Senior Sergeant about Lisa and her trust. If this channel had included both topics in this episode, the video was going to be approximately 20 minutes long. It is for this reason that NZ Justice 111 has covered this private meeting with Senior Sergeant and the BNZ in episode 6, which has been released at the same time as this episode. NZ Justice 111 apologises for any inconvenience. Without further delay, here we go. While Senior Sergeant was setting up Lisa to be accused of taking money out of his accounts without his knowledge using internet banking, and Christopher Lynch was creating fraudulent documents to help Senior Sergeant steal half ownership of Lisa's trust property, Senior Sergeant, using the profit-sharing agreement as a dishonest excuse, started asking Lisa to lend him money from her family trust, on the promise that this money would be repaid back with his trust percentage of the profit-sharing agreement. Lisa was not concerned about lending Senior Sergeant the money, as her trust owned the property to do with the agreement, and any sale proceeds from that home would come into Lisa's trust bank account, with any money owed by Senior Sergeant being simply taken out before his trust was given its percentage of the profit. Unbeknown to Lisa and her mother, Senior Sergeant and Christopher Lynch had no intentions of any profit-sharing agreement being done between Lisa's trust and Senior Sergeant's trust, as proven in episode 4. By the end of this video, this channel would have shown you the breakup of Lisa's and Senior Sergeant's relationship, and how he went about defrauding the beneficiaries of Lisa's trust, his own 2 children and his young stepson, out of tens of thousands of dollars. And he did not stop there after Lisa ended the relationship, as you will see as each episode in this series is released. During Senior Sergeant's relationship with Lisa, and while he was slowly but surely defrauding her trust, Lisa's mother Rose decided to sell her home and forward some of the sale proceeds, $100,000, to assist her daughter's trust towards building a large self-contained one-bedroom unit for Rose, which was to be attached to her daughter's main trust home. Here are the actual photos of Rose's one-bedroom unit after it had been completed. Rose also decided to lend, interest-free and with no monthly repayments unless otherwise asked for, $134,000 to her daughter's trust to help reduce the amount the trust needed to borrow from the Bank of New Zealand to assist with the building costs of the trust's new home. As Senior Sergeant's trust was also going to benefit by having his trust percentage of the mortgage payments per month reduced by Rose's loan, he agreed his trust should become a joint borrower alongside Lisa's. As Christopher Lynch was handling the sale of Rose's home, he was also trusted to prepare and complete her loan document to ensure her $134,000 being lent to her daughter's and her partner's respective trusts was recognised. Lynch never completed Rose's loan document, but lied to her daughter Lisa that he had. You will not only see unequivocal proof in this series of Lynch not completing Rose's loan document, this channel will also expose to you, supported by unchallengeable evidence, Lynch's criminal conduct to do with Rose's loan document. For now, watch what happened next. Rose, in June of 2006, on the false belief that Lynch had completed her loan document after lying to her daughter that he had, deposited $234,000 into her daughter's trust bank account. Here is a screenshot of one of Lisa's trust bank statements showing the deposit. On the 28th of August 2006, Senior Sergeant's home went up for auction and sold for $406,000. As proof of this, here is a screenshot of the auction sales page recording the relevant details of the sale. And here is a screenshot of the auction page that shows the sale price of $406,000. On the 13th of September, Senior Sergeant, using Lisa's trust online banking facility, sent, after agent's fees had been taken out, his house sales deposit of just over $18,000 into Lisa's BNZ Trust Bank account, directly from one of his own BNZ personal accounts, with Senior Sergeant leaving Lisa to falsely believe the money had come from his new trust bank account in line with the agreed terms of the agreement. On the 4th of October 2006, Rose moved into her new unit and her daughter Lisa moved into the main trust property with her son from a previous relationship, Senior Sergeant, and the couple's 2 children, their 3-year-old daughter and their 3-month-old son. A day later, Lisa phoned Christopher Lynch asking for the profit sharing agreement to be completed before Lisa's trust received the bulk of Senior Sergeant's house sale proceeds from his trust, just over $155,000. To make sure Lisa and her mother did not refuse to accept Senior Sergeant's sale proceeds being deposited into one of Lisa's trust bank accounts before the agreement had been signed, Christopher Lynch did something very cunning. He gave Lisa the excuse that even though the agreement would not be ready to be signed before the money came over, there was still a large amount of file notes proving the profit share agreement between the 2 trusts had been agreed to, and if it came to it, he would simply give evidence in court to that fact. Lisa, not knowing how corrupt her professional trustee was, simply believed him. A day after Lisa spoke with Lynch, Senior Sergeant, without telling Lisa, went into Lynch's office and signed the documents to establish his family trust. Here is a screenshot of the front page of his family trust deed confirming the date. Senior Sergeant would never open a bank account for this trust while he was with Lisa. On the 10th of October 2006, Lisa's family trust received Senior Sergeant's sale proceeds of just over $155,000. Here is a screenshot of Lisa's Trust Bank of New Zealand statement confirming the deposit. Lisa and her mother believed that Christopher Lynch had sent over the money on behalf of Senior Sergeant's trust to begin the profit-sharing agreement. Unfortunately, nothing could have been further from the truth. The money had come directly from Senior Sergeant via Lynch's law firm to dishonestly strengthen his position to make a property relationship claim against Lisa and her trust if the fully signed prenup between him and Lisa remained permanently lost. From the time Lisa started living in Senior Sergeant's home in early 2006, with the couple moving into Lisa's trust property in late October until it was sold for $1,950,000, with Lisa at the same time removing Christopher Lynch as her professional trustee, and then the couple moving into another of Lisa's trust properties until they permanently separated in late December of 2008, Senior Sergeant had defrauded Lisa's trust out of over $200,000. And he did not stop there, as you will see as we go through this series. For now, NZ Justice 111 shows you how many devious and dishonest ways Senior Sergeant used to defraud Lisa's trust while the couple were together. But just before we do, here is a screenshot of an email sent to Lisa by Senior Sergeant while the couple was, in 2007, temporarily separated. This email proves Senior Sergeant was claiming to Lisa that there was a profit share agreement in place when he and Lynch had no intentions of this agreement ever coming into effect. Senior Sergeant, as you saw in episode 2, again managed to persuade Lisa to take him back, where he carried on defrauding Lisa's trust. In no particular order, here are the criminal ways Lisa's trust was defrauded. Number 1. Senior Sergeant's use of the non-existent profit sharing agreement to successfully steal thousands and thousands of dollars from Lisa's trust. Here is a screenshot of 4 of Senior Sergeant's accounts and their closing balances as at the date of separation. The chart records the balances for each account after having received the money criminally obtained by Senior Sergeant from Lisa's trust. And here is a screenshot of Senior Sergeant's same 4 accounts, only this time the chart records the closing balances of each account if they had not received the criminally obtained money from Lisa's trust. As you can see, the difference is very clear. These figures have been taken from cash books that have been signed off by an experienced accountant who has confirmed the books have been accurately reconciled with Senior Sergeant's bank statements. These are not the only accounts of Senior Sergeants that received money from Lisa's trust, as you will see later in the series. To date, he continues to hide his bank statements for 3 other accounts with the criminal assistance of corrupt High Court Judge John Fear and others like him. Number 2. In addition to Senior Sergeant defrauding Lisa's trust using the non-existent profit-sharing agreement, he also convinced Lisa to have her trust refinance his police credit union loan for a vehicle he had purchased, with him using the excuse that Lisa's trust could offer a lower interest rate, only for him to leave her trust with the debt owing of just over $57,000. And that's not all. Senior Sergeant also talked Lisa into her trust, loaning him just over $5,000 to pay off his bill to IRD, only to leave Lisa's trust with this debt as well, along with all the interest for the two loans, which ended up being just over $29,000, which the Bank of New Zealand had charged Lisa's trust after she had been tricked by Senior Sergeant to using her trust property as security to borrow the money on his behalf. Number 3. And here is even more money stolen by Senior Sergeant by way of him cunningly persuading Lisa to give him a joint card on her BNZ Global Plus account. On his promise, he would deposit $1,000 each fortnight into the card account to cover his spending. He did deposit the $1,000 as promised, but spent double and sometimes triple each fortnight, leaving Lisa's trust to cover the extra spending. And at number 4, he was also criminally skilled enough to convince Lisa to allow him to live in her trust properties from October of 2006 until they separated in 2008 without paying a cent towards accommodation for either himself or the couple's 2 children. He accomplished this by simply taking deceitful advantage of Lisa's faith in him that when the time came, she could take out his trust unpaid percentage of the mortgage payments from the profit as determined by the agreement, which Senior Sergeant and corrupt barrister Christopher Lynch made sure was never going to exist between the two trusts. This now ends episode 5. Episode 6 has already been released, which exposes, but is certainly not limited to, the gross breach of privacy done against Lisa and her trust during a joint meeting between the Bank of New Zealand representatives and Senior Sergeant. Until next time, keep safe.